What will leadership look like if women stopped trying to prove their strength and rather started to lead from a place of internal strength, from a place of regulation, and from a place of self trust? This is Upsurge, the Global Women of Choice podcast. I am your host, Evelyn Oluchukwu, and today I have none other than the one and only Catherine Apple. And today we will be talking about when healing becomes momentum. And on this note, I would love to say that let the upsurge begin.
Hi, I'm Catherine. Thank you so much for having me on this show today. I'm excited to talk about how we can turn healing into momentum for ourselves.
Thank you, Catherine. I'm so excited about everything we will be talking about today. Now, what reframes healing from something we fix to something we regulate? Well, I have always thought when you need healing, you need fixing. But now you're telling us that healing is something we regulate. How does our nervous system regulate? How does regulating our nervous system fundamentally change the way a woman lives?
Well, when you have a regulated nervous system, you're able to act from a place of confidence. You feel like you can truly be yourself without second guessing or questioning your gut reaction. You're more attuned to your own energy, and it's easier for you to make decisions. So you spend less time worrying or overthinking and overanalyzing what you should do. And so you become sharper, you become quicker, and there's also this air of, I don't really care what other people think, and if no one's done it my way before, then I'm going to be the first to do it my way.
Wow, I love the way you said it. If no one has done it my way, then well and good, I'll just be the first person to do it my way. That's awesome. Now, you've said your approach focuses on root regulation, not surface change. What does that look like in practice for leaders navigating pressure, navigating decisions, and responsibility?
That's a great question. And that's something that can be a little bit different for everybody. So one of the quickest ways to regulate a nervous system is through your own breath. So if you notice that maybe you're experiencing some anxiety or nervousness, or even feeling a little scared, oftentimes your heart rate increases. You can feel your skin is getting hotter, like your internal body temperature is increasing. And we want a pattern interrupter. We want to do something that creates a pause for the system. So a beautiful and simple way to do that is to just instinctively take a really deep breath and slowly let it go. Let your exhale be longer than your inhale. So then you're activating the parasympathetic nervous system, getting you into that rest and digest phase. So you're moving out of the fight or flight, which is the sympathetic nervous system. And that allows you to let the body start regulating. You'll probably notice your blood pressure is starting to ease, your heart rate is returning back to its normal resting spot. And there's this fog that kind of lifts in your mind where it just feels a little bit more manageable now.
I'm learning a lot from this podcast. I'll dare to call it a masterclass. So now I know that your would now have to be longer than your inhale when you do the breathing exercise, right?
Yes. You do want to take a long inhale, but you're helping to activate the parasympathetic nervous system faster when you exhale even longer. So you can do a what's called a 5-7-8 breath, where you inhale for 5 counts and you hold it at the top of the inhale for 6 counts, and then exhale for 8.
Wow. I just tried it.
Did you really?
I really didn't count the exhale, but I counted the inhale and the hold. I counted the hold too, and it felt nice. Wow. Now, many high-performing women are constantly in motion. How does a dysregulated nervous system quietly affect leadership clarity, confidence, and execution?
If you are acting from a dysregulated nervous system, you're opening up yourself for overthinking. So it can become really hard to create a decision and move forward with a business plan or an idea, because you're like, oh, I think this is a good idea. And then the more you start to think on it, you're like, but is it? Like, it could be better if this and this were changed, but then if I do that, like, I don't know if people are gonna like it. And you start to talk yourself out of doing it. It can also lead to making rash decisions, because you're like, well, it's been so long and I just need to make a decision, so I'm gonna arbitrarily pick this and do it. And that can cost your business or your project a lot. You could create a deficit simply by picking without deciding, without the conscious decision of, this is actually how I want to run this project, how I want this team to function. And when you're second guessing yourself all the time and overthinking, there is a big lack of confidence. So when you're acting from that place, then you start to, I equate it to feeling like a scared little child, because you're like, well, what should I do? Everybody's looking at me and they know that I'm an imposter, and I'm not in fact, sound in my decision making. So what are they gonna think? And that leads into more of the same. It becomes a downward spiral of lack of confidence, lack of belief in yourself. And if you don't have belief or faith in yourself, how can you really lead anyone else into a confident place?
Exactly. And unfortunately, so many leaders today are stuck in that dysfunctional state. And it's so unfortunate, really. So thank you so much for saying that. Now, what's the biggest misconception about healing that you see among ambitious women, among leaders? And how does that misconception keep them stuck at that level?
I think one of the biggest misconceptions about healing is that there's an end goal, that you heal to a point and you're just done. You're like, okay, well, I'm done. I healed that issue of lack of confidence in myself, and now I'm super confident and I trust myself. But maybe there's also more healing for you in how you communicate with other people on your team and really hearing their ideas and opinions. But you choose not to work on that because you are blind, you have your blinders on with the fact that you've healed, because you've healed that one thing that you knew about. So the way that I view healing is that it is a journey, and there's always more to learn and more areas and ways in which you can expand yourself and refine your own skill sets as a leader, as an individual. So when you start believing, oh, I'm healed, there's nothing more that I need to work on, you're letting yourself plateau at the level that you are currently at, that you have evolved to, and there isn't room to grow. So you've created this ceiling for yourself because you're not ready to entertain that there may be more work for you to do.
Excellent. Now, what I've learned is that healing is not a destination in itself, that healing is a journey. So you can't really say you've arrived at your healing, right? It's always from one level to dusted. We should learn to perceive our healing as a journey that moves from one stage to another.
Yes. And I'd also like to add that healing, another misconception about healing is that it's all sunshine, rainbows, positivity once you start healing. And there is a lot of heaviness that is in healing because you are facing, your downfalls, your shadow part of yourself, some weaknesses. So you really do need to be prepared for those truths and those realities to come in so that you are meeting it with an open mind and see what there is that you want to work on and how you want to be able to move through those challenges.
Beautiful. Now, you talk about internal safety as a foundation. What does it mean for a leader to feel safe within herself, and how does that translate into external results?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? I lost the part of the question.
Okay. You talk about internal safety a lot as a foundation. What does it mean for a leader to feel safe within herself, and how does that translate into external results?
To feel safe in yourself, you need to feel comfortable with who you are and really accept yourself for the entirety. That's not just all of your strengths, all of your accolades and accomplishments, but it's also, what people would say are flaws, the shadow part of you, where there is some refinement, but it's being able to look at all of that and say, I might not be perfect. I mean, we're all human, and so what is perfect when you are human? It doesn't really exist. But you might not be fully to the level that you want to be, and accept that and know that you are doing your best to work there and wear it with honor, with confidence that you are doing your absolute best. And when you just walk into a room where you feel 100% affirmed in who you are and how you are presenting yourself to those around you, you don't even stop to think of what other people are thinking, because you are in full acceptance of who you are and how you show up in the world and what your mission is, that you just move through it to what other people would say is effortless. And that's really what we're all striving for, right? That level of energetic certainty is powerful. It commands everyone else's energy. It also builds respect from those that are near you.
Exactly. Now, I've waited all week to ask you this question. Your journey includes burnout, it includes addiction and rebuilding. How did your personal transformation reshape your definition of power and leadership?
Oh my gosh, I have never been asked this question, and I love this question. Thank you for asking. Before I was in my pre-burnout phase, I was overworking myself and really pushing myself to the limits because I wanted to prove to everyone who wasn't me, that I was a smart, competent worker, that I had, good ideas. I knew how to lead a team. I knew how to finish a project on time and on budget. And when I was going after that power, initially I thought that it meant that I was going to be honored. People would see all of the hard work I did and, in a sense, give me some sort of praise or validation for doing so. And it was more about control, like knowing that I had worked to a point where I would get a promotion and then have a higher position and therefore have more responsibility and more control, right? I was always after the control. It became something that was more based around greed rather than providing my skill sets and talents. And so when I had the burnout, that's when, I went more into my addictions. And when it was time for me to heal, I had to face all that. I had to really ask myself, why was I drinking more? Why was I giving into my addictions? What was I trying to avoid and not heal? So once I worked through that and came out of the addictions and burnout on the other side, I really started to understand that it's more about a journey. Yes, healing is a journey, and even a leader, being in a leadership role, is more about the journey, because you need to take into account the whole team, not just you. What are the strengths of each individual person on the team? How can you pair people up so that they complement each other at the same time that they're also learning how to refine their own skill sets and create a foundation for the team that is more communicative, more open. So now I view power really is just creating a good foundation. It's like I'm building the fence and putting people in a container where they know that they will be heard, they will be respected, their insights are valid. So it becomes more of a collaborative effort, and that's where the power is creating a community and a common ground with everybody.
That's awesome, Catherine. Now, through your new resonance method, how do you help women release stored emotional energy that may be blocking their next level of leadership?
So the neuroresonance method is a combination of 3 different modalities. It's cognitive behavioral therapy coaching, and that works on really looking at what your current thoughts and beliefs are about yourself and what are your goals. Who is the person that you want to be? What are the thoughts that you want to have regularly? And we'll go through a process on how to start rewiring your brain for those new thoughts and beliefs so that we're gradually pushing out those old ones. Then Reiki, which is a form of energetic healing, that's targeting the things that we have left in the body, whether consciously or subconsciously, because the things that you don't process cognitively or emotionally, they do get stored in your physical body, and that can come through as a physical pain. Maybe it's a tightness or muscle knots or spasms. twitches, and it could actually, go even further into a more serious illness as well. So through Reiki, we're identifying where there are stagnant energy blocks and releasing them. We're opening up that space. We're calling in new energy to come in and move that so that you're no longer carrying that heaviness with you. And then sound therapy, using sounds and vibrations, have been proven to help not only reduce pain, but they also help put the body into a more meditative and relaxed state by activating the alpha and theta brain waves. So that creates this space that's referred to as the problem-solving phase. And it's what a lot of people call those aha moments. Like you're fixating on a problem for so long that you're sure there is no possible solution at all. And then all of a sudden, when you're not thinking about it, this idea, this moment of clarity comes in and you have the solution that you've been, painstakingly worrying about. It just simply floated into your mind. And that's what sound healing can do. So when we combine all three of them, not only are we really addressing what's on the mental level, we're getting into the energetics of it, and we're also opening up and expanding the brain waves to open up to new ideas coming in without you quickly putting a stop to them or a judgment to them or an interrupting thought. And so the sound will really create that space, that liminal space for fresh clarity to come in.
I love the way your neo-resonance method actually brings these three components together. Then particularly the way you truly explained this sound therapy, it just makes a whole lot of sense. Now, as we round up today's conversation, Catherine, let's say for the woman who feels stuck, who feels overwhelmed or disconnected from herself despite external success, what is the one simple shift she can make today to begin creating momentum from within?
It's a beautiful question. I would start with creating a list of who this next version of yourself is going to be. How does she act? What does she wear? How does she talk? How does she present herself when she walks into a room? What does she think about herself? Just let yourself write all of those things without any extra thought into it. Like, don't question stream of consciousness, what comes in. And then tape that up somewhere where you will see it most days. And every time you see it, just check in with yourself of, okay, have I been embodying these things? And you can also choose one item. Say you wrote confidence on there. You can say, I'm going to work on feeling confident every time I engage in a conversation with someone today. And then at the end of the night, when you're looking at your list again, you can reflect on that. How was that experience of taking in that extra time to feel confident before you spoke, before you engaged in a conversation with somebody? So that's one thing that I would like to leave you all with, is really let yourself journal and create this next version of yourself and have that be your map. as to what it is that you're going to work on and grow through.
Now, Catherine, you know what? What you just gave us is a lot more than just one thing. Now, it seems like this list we're drawing up is not just a list. It's a map, it's a roadmap, it's a clock, and it's a whole lot of things. So if we do this list properly, if we can properly design, if we can properly carve out, if we can properly write down the things that this next level of us, this woman that we desire to be, this person that we desire. I love the way you itemized it. Who do you want to be? How do you want to be it? This person you are looking at becoming, how does she speak? Who does she speak to? How does she step? And stuff like that. So it is more than one thing. You've given us a whole lot to go by. So thank you for watching. Thank you, Catherine. Would there be any final words? Would there be anything you would like to see? Because yes, Catherine, also thank you for not coming empty-handed. I see the gift, and the gift you brought for anyone who has listened up to this point will be in the podcast description on Spotify. So if you've listened to the end, do remember to click on that link and download the gift that Catherine came to us today with. So thank you, Catherine. If there's any other thing you would like to add to today's conversation as we round up, I would love to hear that.
Thank you so much for having me on the podcast. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. You can go to my website, which is EIPL Healing, EIPL healing.com. So I look forward to hearing from everyone. And also, if you go to my website and you sign up for my email list, you get a free neuroresonance session. So you can check out what the neuroresonance method is with a free session.
Awesome. Thank you, Catherine. Thank you so much. This means a lot. And you'll hear from me, you'll hear from every other person that listens to today's conversation. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you, Catherine. Thank you so much for listening to us, everyone that has listened. And I'll see you again next week with another interesting guest. And yeah, hopefully some other time very soon, I'll bring you Catherine once again. Catherine, you'll do that for us, yeah? I'll bring you Catherine once again, and we will take it up, from where we're leaving it off today. So thank you, and do enjoy your day.